Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're taking a plunge into a really fascinating ancient Pali text. It's called the Upakājīvakavatthu.
And Pali texts, for anyone maybe less familiar, these are, really foundational scriptures in early Buddhism.
Exactly. And this specific story, it captures a truly pivotal moment, a moment of self-declaration.
It really does.
So our mission in this deep dive is basically to pull out the key insights from this historical account.
Right. Understand the context of this pretty remarkable encounter.
Yeah, and really unpack this powerful statement about self-mastery that honestly feels incredibly relevant even now.
Absolutely. It transcends its time.
So yeah, get ready for some, I think, surprising details and maybe a fresh look at what it means to be, an authority unto yourself.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It starts with this figure who has just achieved what the text calls omniscient wisdom.
Complete universal knowledge. It's a huge claim.
Huge. And he's also just spent 7 weeks meditating, reflecting at the Bodhi tree.
The place of his enlightenment, yeah. So a really profound period of integration, you could say.
And what's fascinating, as you pointed out, is what happens next, his immediate next step.
Right. This newly enlightened being, he sets out on a very specific journey.
Not just wandering.
No, not at all. He's heading towards Bharataisi. And the text mentions the distance, 18 yojanas.
Which you said is what, roughly 150, maybe 200 miles?
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
A serious trek back then. And he has a clear purpose, to turn the wheel of Dhamma.
Meaning, essentially, to start teaching what he's realized.
Exactly. To share this profound understanding. So it's not just a walk, it's the beginning of his mission, a momentous journey.
And it's right on this path, this, very intentional path, that he has this unexpected meeting.
He runs into an ascetic named Upaka.
Upaka. And he belongs to this group called the Ajivakas.
Right. And the Ajivakas, it's worth remembering, they were a pretty prominent rival spiritual group at the time.
Ascetics, known for their deterministic views, kind of fatalistic.
Sort of, yeah. A different philosophical path altogether. So this encounter is between two very different worldviews.
Okay, so Upaka sees him, and the text describes his immediate reaction.
It does. He observes, and it's quite vivid, your senses are pure, your skin color is clear, radiant.
Wow. What a first impression, huh? It immediately tells you this isn't just some ordinary wanderer.
No, definitely not. It signals something extraordinary, a kind of visible luminescence, almost.
And that radiance, that purity, it obviously makes Upaka curious.
Naturally. So he asked these questions that were, pretty standard for seekers back then. People usually followed someone.
Right. You belong to a school, a lineage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Upaka asks him directly, whom did you renounce for? Who is your teacher? Whose Dhamma do you like?
He's trying to categorize him, right? Place him in a known box.
Precisely. Find the authority behind this radiant figure. Who's the guru? What's the tradition?
And this is where the conversation takes a really sharp turn. It gets profound. Because in response to these very sort of traditional questions...
Christians expecting a lineage.
Yeah. The Buddha gives this truly radical reply. He just states simply, I have no preceptor or teacher.
Just flat out, no teacher.
Think about that. I mean, even today, how much we often look for external validation, for teachers, guides, experts.
And mentors, gurus, algorithms.
Right, and he just says, nope, none. It's such a challenge to that whole idea.
It really is. And then the text gives us the core of his declaration. It's in this powerful verse.
Okay.
He says, I am one who has overcome all things, who knows all things, who is unsoiled by all things, who has abandoned all things, who is released by the destruction of craving.
Wow. Okay. Keep going.
Then he asks rhetorically, having comprehended by myself, whom should I point to as a teacher?
So basically, I figured this out entirely on my own. There is no one else to point to.
Exactly. It's this ultimate statement of self-attained mastery, achieved purely through his own insight. No external input needed at that final stage.
That verse is so dense, though. Every phrase feels loaded.
It absolutely is.
But the text itself actually helps us out here, right? It gives definitions for these terms.
It does, thankfully.
Yeah.
Which is great because these aren't just throwaway words. They're very specific.
So let's maybe dig into those, unpack what he actually meant by each part of that declaration.
Yeah, let's break down these layers. It really paints a picture.
Okay, first one, Sabbābhibhū, overcomer of all.
Right. And the text clarifies this, means having, quote, overcome all three realm phenomena.
3 realms. Okay, what does that cover?
So In the cosmology of the time, that's basically everything. The realm of desire, the realm of form, and the formless realm.
So like the physical world, subtle mental states, even the highest meditative states.
Precisely. All conditioned experience,
Right.
from the grossest to the most refined.
Right.
He's saying he's overcome all of it, liberated from it.
Okay. Comprehensive. Then Sabbābhibhū, knower of all.
Yeah, Sabbavidū. And here the definition is slightly different. It says knows all four realm phenomena.
Hold on, 4 realms. You just said 3.
Exactly. That's what's so fascinating. The shift from 3 to 4 is subtle, but potentially huge.
What could that 4th realm be?
Well, the text doesn't explicitly state it here in this passage, but it strongly implies knowledge beyond the 3 realms of conditioned existence. Perhaps direct knowledge of nibbana, the unconditioned, or the path out of the cycle entirely. It suggests a knowledge that transcends even the highest cosmic states.
So not just knowing about everything within existence, but knowing the way out of existence, too.
That seems to be the implication. It's a really radical claim of comprehensive understanding.
Okay, wow. Next. Sabbesu damesu anupalito, unsoiled by all things.
This means unsoiled by craving and wrong views in all 3 realm phenomena.
So it's about inner purity, not being stained by desire or delusion, even while experiencing things.
Exactly, a profound detachment, not touched or tainted by the world, mentally or emotionally.
Got it. Then Sabbābhibhū, abandoner of all things.
This relates to the overcomer part, but emphasizes the letting go. It means having abandoned all 3 realm phenomena.
So completely letting go of attachment to anything within those realms of experience.
Total relinquishment, not just physical things, but mental states, identities, experiences, letting it all go.
Okay, and then Upakājīvakavatthu, released by the destruction of craving.
Right. This is key. The text specifies this means being released through arahantship, and it clarifies this as an unlearning liberation.
Unlearning liberation, what does that mean?
It suggests that freedom isn't about adding more knowledge or skills, but about shedding, about unlearning all the conditioning, the attachments, the wrong views that bind us.
So liberation is subtraction, not addition.
In a way, yes. It's the ultimate freedom that comes when craving, the root of suffering, is completely extinguished.
Okay, and the last 2 parts relate to the source of this knowledge.
Exactly. Sagaminyaya.
Having comprehended by myself.
Yeah. The text says understood and known by himself. It just hammers home the independent nature of his realization. It wasn't taught, it was discovered directly.
And finally, Kamudisaya. Whom should I point to?
The rhetorical question. If I understood this all by myself, who could I possibly name as my teacher?
There's no one to point to.
Precisely. It underlines that for a realization this deep, this complete, there's no external authority required, or even possible at that point. He is the authority.
So taking all those definitions together.
Yeah, if you put them all together, they paint this complete picture. It's an individual who has gone beyond all conventional limits, knowledge, experience, attachment, all through their own direct insight.
A kind of blueprint for total internal transformation and self-reliance.
You could definitely see it that way.
Okay, so the Buddha lays out this incredibly profound, self-contained declaration of enlightenment. Now, here's the part that always gets me, Upaka's reaction.
Right, it's really quite surprising.
The text says Upaka neither approved nor rejected the words.
Total neutrality, which, given the magnitude of the claims, is pretty strange.
It's not exactly a wow, tell me more moment, is it?
Not at all. And his physical actions are even more, well, telling, or maybe more confusing.
What did he do?
He shook his head and stuck out his tongue.
Shook his head
Yeah.
and stuck out his tongue.
Yeah.
What does that even mean? Disbelief, dismissal, confusion.
It's ambiguous, isn't it? It could be interpreted in different ways. Maybe skepticism, maybe just complete bewilderment, like, this is beyond me.
He doesn't argue? He doesn't ask more questions?
Nope. He just takes a single-track path, maybe implying a narrow or different way, and goes off to a hunter's dwelling place. Just walks away.
Walks away from someone declaring they've overcome and understood everything.
Yeah. It really makes you pause, doesn't it? What do we make of that? This kind of non-committal, almost dismissive reaction to what's presented as the ultimate truth.
It's like maybe the truth was too big, too radical for his framework. He just couldn't compute it.
That's one strong possibility. It was so outside his understanding of how spiritual attainment worked, through a teacher, a lineage, that he just couldn't engage with it. Maybe like trying to explain quantum physics to someone in the Stone Age, the concepts are just too far removed.
Okay, so Upaka's reaction is fascinating in itself, but let's pivot a bit. Let's bring it back to, well, to you listening. What does this ancient story, this encounter, mean for us today, beyond just being a, interesting historical anecdote?
Well, I think it really underscores this radical idea of self-realization, of internal mastery.
Mm-hmm.
It fundamentally challenges that very common notion that deep wisdom has to come from outside, from a teacher, a guru, a book, an authority figure.
It puts the potential squarely back inside the individual.
Exactly. It highlights the potential for knowledge, for liberation, to be so deeply understood, so embodied that you become your own ultimate authority. It suggests that at the deepest level, the answers might truly lie within, accessible through your own direct investigation.
And it also, I think, shows just how differently people react when faced with something truly groundbreaking, something that shatters their existing paradigms.
Absolutely. Upaka's reaction isn't acceptance. It isn't even outright rejection or argument. It's this kind of perplexed retreat, bewilderment.
He encountered something so far beyond his map of reality, he couldn't even find a path to it on his map.
That's a good way to put it. He just defaulted back to what he knew, took his own narrow path.
So, as you're reflecting on this deep dive, maybe consider this. If true liberation, true understanding, can ultimately be achieved by oneself,
Leading to this state where no external teacher is needed.
what might that imply about your own path, your own journey of learning and discovery? Does it change how you think about seeking guidance?
And maybe also when you encounter a truth or even just an idea that really challenges your deeply held beliefs, your assumptions about how things work, especially around guidance and authority. How do you react?
Do you lean in with curiosity? Do you argue against it? Or do you perhaps maybe sometimes just shake your head, unsure what to make of it, and take your own single track path?
It's definitely something worth pondering.